السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. This is revision 1, 2 until 2B, module 1, traveller 1, English. This is Abir Al-Hamidi, your presenter. Now, in this, now starting from this slide, you will see the objectives that are supposed to be covered in this module. Some of them are not going to be mentioned, like the communication or the vocabulary, although we're going to have some activities for the vocabulary. But when it comes to the tables or the organizers, we're going to present these ideas. You will see them in front of you, like the present simple, the past simple, present progressive, quantifiers, description of a person, and to present yourself. Also, in this revision, you will see two types of two techniques to analyze the whole module: in a table form and in the organizer form for the rules. Now, for example, the table form will be presented like this at the beginning, so you know exactly what is the rule and what lesson is it on. For example, what page. Page 15 or 17, 18, so it's easier for you to follow me as we go along, inshallah, in that revision. Also, this is the writing part, which is very clear. You're supposed to write a short text presenting yourself or a description of a person. Okay, this is how we analyze or we summarize the whole module, inshallah. Are you ready for that test if you want to? Now, in module 1A, the present simple, as an organizer, this is how I presented. I used your book and the examples in your grammar reference, just as to show you like a general idea. If you're going to understand what do I mean by, for example, present simple, how am I going to write a sentence? This is the first part is affirmative, the sentences, the second part questions, and the third part negative. You have that as tables in the reference part in your book, I think page 84, 85. But this is like an organizer. It's easier for you. I put like a lot of pronouns. You can choose one. If you understood one, it's enough for you, but I just put like more than one, so it's easier for you to practice with me. Like, for example, if you have the sentence, I work every day, and you want to make a question, do you work? Okay, every day, of course, but we don't have a space here. Or if you want to negate the sentence to make the negative, you will say, I don't work. Number 2, she works twice a week. Does she work twice a week? She doesn't work twice a week. This is just a reminder. If you have the verb work, the helping verb will be do. If you have the verb works, the helping verb will be does. You use that in the question and in the negative. This is just a reminder, okay? It will help you. The S here is going to remind you that there is a helping verb that needs to be used in that part. I'm sure you know most of that information, but this is, as I said, to present that in front of you so it's easier for you to recall and refresh your memory about that tense. Now, I'm going to give you examples before we go to the activities, but it doesn't mean that this is how you're going to be tested, or, for example, no, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just a revision. So if you have a sentence like that, like my brother goes to the gym, and as you can see, every day is underlined. So you may be asked to make a question, yes, no question, or WH question when I underline a word. When I make a yes, no question, you're going to use the same sentence, of course, all of the sentence, but in a question form, okay? You start with the verb, helping verb, subject, main verb, and you complete the sentence. In this case, of course, the helping verb is does. So, does your brother go to the gym every day? All the sentences used, but in a question form, okay? Now, when I ask about every day, it's time, so I'm going to use when. Also, you're going to use helping verb, does, then you have the subject, and they have the main verb, and complete the sentence. And you notice here, we did not put every day because we are asking about every day. We are asking about it using when, so it's not, you cannot ask about something and put it in the sentence, okay? That's why it's omitted, okay? These are the most of the forms that are you may be asked to do in order for you to change the sentence into a question. You may also be asked to make a negative, or for example, in that case, of course, you will be asked that. You will see that, inshallah, in the activity. Now, the present progressive. I want you always to notice, let the name of that tense remind you of the contents or the main idea of the verb. For example, present, it's now, and progressive, it's continuous. So when you are asked to write or correct, remember that present is am or is and are, verb to be, and the continuous is the ing, progressive, and it's in the verb. And you have here, of course, the affirmative, the sentences, and the questions and negative. Why is this so easy? Or I think it may be easy for you. All you have to do is switch, as you can see. I am, are you? She is she? They are they? Also, when you are making the negative, all you have to do is put not, and that's it. You don't think about other verbs, or you don't need helping verbs. It's all there. Verb to be is all you need here. Now, again, you may be asked to make questions. You have two sentences here. You have the first one, I underlined a few emails, and the second one, I did not underline anything. So you may be asked to ask about a few emails, and the second one, yes, no question. So if I'm asking you to ask about underlined word, so you're going to ask about few emails, which is something. Usually you use what, and the second one, make a yes no question. Because I'm asking about emails, it's going to be what, and then you are going to switch the subject verb to verb subject. It's a form of make a question. The form of the question is verb, and then subject, and then the completion of the sentence. So what is he sending? Now, if you're asked, for example, number 2, to make a yes no question, since it's I am, the pronoun is going to change, and you're going to say, are you working this week? You are asking about you're checking, are you working this week? It's a yes no question. Yes, I am, or no, I am not. Okay, it depends on the answer. Now, the third tense here is the past simple. The past simple tense is usually it's a verb that happened and finished in the past. The action is done, and it has to have, you have to have like a time, like specific time, like 6 o'clock, or not 6 o'clock. You would say, you would say, for example, 2 years ago, or last year, or last month, or a long time ago. So you have to have specific time when the action is happened, for example, has happened. Now, when you make a negative or question, or here you have to think about the verb before we start with the negative or the question. The verb here, you have regular verbs, like you add ed, and you have irregular verbs where you have to use the list with the irregular verbs. Most of the list that is, it's repetitive, it's repeated most of the time, the verbs but sometimes you need to check to make sure that you got the right verb. It's not about just spelling. Sometimes the whole word change, like for example, eat, it's ate, or buy, it's bought, drink, drank, and so on. So you have to check the irregular list in your book. If it's regular, you add ed. Now, for both sentences, I worked or I ate, you need a helping verb to make a question and a negative. When you want to make a question or a negative, the verb goes back to the regular verb, to the infinitive form, no ed, and it's not going to be in the second, but in the first part of the speech. So, did you work, or did you eat? Or if I'm making the negative, I didn't work, or I didn't eat. So be careful. I just, as a reminder, I'm sure you know most of the information, but to refresh your memory. Now, I brought the verb bought because it needs work. You need to change it. So that's why I put it in the sentence. I bought my house last year. When I ask you to make a question about last year or a yes no question, you have to think about the helping verb and what you are going to take out. Last year is going to be, you're going to ask about that, so you're going to use when, and the helping verb here is did, and I is going to be changed into you because it's a different pronoun, and by is going to be, boat is going to be by, and you complete the sentence. So the question, sorry. When did you buy your house? I bought my house last year or last year. This is the answer. If you're going to ask a yes, no question, the same technique is used. You have to have helping verb. Helping verb here is did. And you say, did you buy your house last year? Yes, I did, or no, I didn't. Okay, so the helping verb here, because it's in the past, it's going to be did, and the verb has to, you don't have the ed, or you take it to the first part of the speech, okay, if it's irregular. Now, this is just an exercise. You will have a lot of activities, but this is just an exercise. Aside from making a question, you may be asked to correct the verb. Here I put to, I put the negative and just the verb to check your, your information about regular and irregular verbs. Here it's irregular. For example, Saad, I want to negate that he's he didn't watch the game, so Saad did not watch. So when you negate, you just put did and you put negative. Now in the second one, it's in the past also. The sentence is in the past and you have the verb go. It's irregular. It's no ed. Here you have to take the verb to the second part, which is he went to his parents' house for dinner. So if you're asked to correct the verb, you have to make sure that it's and I underlined last night because if you're asked to correct, maybe they won't tell you it's a past simple. Maybe it's a sentence and you have to figure out what tense is it. So you will have clues like these, the time expression will help you out what tense that verb is. Now, moving on to used to. Now, usually when I use the word used to, it means that something happened regularly in the past. It does no longer exist. It doesn't happen now. But when I use that, I'm giving you that meaning that it continued for a bit of time. And you can see that mark, I put it in the past. So usually people use that to show you that it took them a long time. For example, I used to jog. I don't do that anymore. Or I used to draw when I was young, for example. It means that I didn't just do it for 1 day or 2 days. It happened for a long time. Now here you have that sentence. It will give you that meaning. Like he walked to school, but now he takes the bus. Going to school is not 1 day. You go to school every single day. So I want to use the used to. So he used to walk. Every single day he used to walk, but now he takes the bus. So now it's different, but I'm showing you that that is the form of the verb, why we use it. Now, preposition of time. It's very important for you. It's not just about memorizing, it's about understanding, but you have to know that some prepositions go with certain expressions of time. Since it's a very long list, and I don't want you to think about just 1 or 2 examples. I put the grammar reference for you, page 85. You will have a list of all the time expressions there that will go with each preposition. Now, these are the most used ones are the 3 that you see in front of you. For example, at, you have time here, like a clock, 6 o'clock, and you have noon, you have midnight, or at the moment, okay? Number 2, when you have like month or season, or time of the day or year, you have in for example, in spring, in the morning, in April, in 2002, and so on. Like when you have a day, or for example, like a day of the month, you say on Friday, or on 12th of March, or on weekdays. Now we have also, for example, during and after and before and until and ago. They go with different times. If you want more information, you can go to that reference. But when you're asked, you have to remember which one goes with each expression. You have to think about that before you answer the exercise. Usually it's choose, okay? Now moving on to quantifiers. It's very important to distinguish between countable and uncountable nouns. So I made that table for you so it's easier for you to choose. When you're asked to choose between many, any, much, you will have many quantifiers. You need to think about the countable nouns. I have here like 2 drawings. I'm going to just show you. Like here you can count 1, 2, 3, and here you cannot count. It's like a group. I'm going to erase this just just to show you that. But if you at the end you want to take a paragraph, you may need that. Now, as you can see, the examples: pencils, pupils, bananas are countable nouns. When you're asked to that, you be careful with that noun. You are asked, for example, to choose between bananas and sugar, or salt, or coffee and milk. These are uncountable nouns. Now, with the quantifiers, I made that in a table. I hope it's clear for you. If I'm going to say I have few pencils, or a few pencils, or some pencils, or several pencils, it means these are countable nouns. I can use that. If I want to, for a sentence as affirmative. Now, if I want to negate, I don't have many pencils. If I want to make a question, I say, do you have any pencils? So when you're asking a question, you use any. If you want to use the negative, you're going to say many. And if you also, you can use any. But I just made that in a table so it's easier for you. Why do we use many here? Because it's countable. Now let's look at the second table. You have little sugar, some sugar, a lot of sugar, and notice that we have some in both countable and uncountable. So you can, it's very flexible, you can use that. But when it comes to little, it's used with uncountable nouns for sentences. And if you want to make, as I said, negative or questions, you can use much. You don't have much, I don't have much, for example, money, or I don't have much sugar, and so on. If it's a question, do you have any flour? Do you have any coffee? So any is used for both. Okay. You can take a photograph of this table, because I try to simplify it for you in a table because it's easier for you to visualize. Instead of making questions, you can add your examples here as much as you can. And this is, it may be a helper for you. Okay. Now, I gave you, like, I put here just an example. We're going to have other activities, but this is just an example. Notice that you have tomatoes, and I underlined it so you know it's countable. And number 2, you have orange juice, uncountable. So if you're asked to, and here you have a question. The first one, few. Okay. The second one, any, because it's a question. Okay. Someone would say, okay, we can use some. Yes, I know, but it's a question, so you're going to use any. Okay, so that's how different it is. Now, moving on to the writing part, you have 2 paragraphs. The first one is presenting yourself. If you're asked to write a paragraph, that you can present yourself, and you are going to use different information. That's why we took the present progressive, and the past simple in this module. You are supposed to write at the end, you're supposed to write a paragraph about yourself. You're going to include any relevant information, any information about you. You're going to tell me about that. And since you're going to tell me about things that happened in your life, you need to use appropriate tenses. So think about your life. If it's something that you do every single day, like routine, you're going to use the present simple, which is A. B, if it's a temporary situation that happened now, but it's not usually, you can use a present progressive. If it's something that happened in your past, you can use that tense, which is the past simple. Okay, that's why I put that in red, so it's easier for you to analyze the information you're going to write in your paragraph. Now, when writing a paragraph, also, now you have the sentences, you have your routine, you have the incidents that happened now, and you have the past tense. How would I write my paragraph now? Now, you're going to join the similar ideas, and you have to think about that. Is it like 2 opposite ideas? So you're going to use but. Is it going to be something about a sequence or a result? You're going to use so. If it's something that happened, you're doing that now, but you don't usually do it because now you're going to tell me the reason. So sometimes you do need these connectors to make your idea more clear to me. Okay, that's why I put that in red for you. Also, you can write the paragraph and you can go through whatever you want. I cannot see the paragraph, but you can check that information. Okay, this is the first paragraph. The second paragraph, when you are writing to describe a person. Now, think about someone you're going to describe. If it's a friend or a teacher or someone you admire, you're going to group the related ideas together. How are you going to organize the description? It can be in 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs. The first one is going to be an introduction. The second one, it can be about adjectives describing the person's appearance, how he looks, his dress, his clothes, or whatever. And number 3 is the personality, okay? Or it can be the first one is about him, the second one is about his personality and appearance, and the third one is going to be about, for example, how you feel about that person or how this person has affected your life. It's up to you. Now, it's very important to use examples to explain what you mean, and you give general opinion about that person in the last paragraph. For example, you group the related ideas together, like this is about appearance, this is about personality, this is how I feel about him. You organize it, and you use different adjectives. Like here, I'm showing you like few examples. You can have other like in your book, or you can check the dictionary. You can say that about his appearance, that he's tall or she's tall, dark brown eyes, and whatever. The personality, outgoing, honest, kind, confident, and make sure to give me reasons or to support that. You're going to say that he's confident because you're going to tell me an example of that personality of him or of her. Okay. Now this is the when you use that, they say that you have to give general. Sometimes when you end, I think you have an example in your book, because one of the paragraphs that he talked about that how far their personality are apart. Like you will never be friends with him. Of course, it's up to you. If his personality is something that you feel like close to your personality, you're going to give reasons, and this is how you feel about that. This is what they mean by general opinion about that person. It could be something that will support that all that is supportive of the idea that you can be best friends, or all what you said in that paragraph describes how far you are from being friends with him. It's up to you, of course. It depends on your paragraph. Now moving to module 2, we're going to take A and B only, and inshallah the rest will be in part like revision number 2. Now in this part we're only going to cover the past progressive and the present perfect simple. Present perfect simple with the past progressive, it's not going to be described a whole, because it's going to be on C, and I think but that is the past progressive is we're going, as you can see here, it's the past progressive and the past simple with the past progressive. With the present perfect, it's going to be inshallah on the next revision. Now we're also not going to take any writing here, okay? The past progressive, as I said, think about that name of the tense. It's past and progressive. It's like one of the easiest forms that you can see. Actually, say you see the past, which is was or were, and you have the progressive, which is continuous with the ing. As you can see from, of course, also in your book, the pronoun, which pronoun goes with which verb, like I was, she was, he was, they were, you were. And all you have to do when you make questions is switch the verb and the subject positions. And when you want to make the negative, you are going to add not to the verb. That's it. Like, for example, she was working. The question will be, is she working? And the negative, she wasn't working, and so on. Okay. Now, when you are asked, as I said, just an example, they were working all day yesterday evening. All day yesterday evening is the time I'm going to ask about. If I'm asking you to ask about the underlined word, and if I'm asking you to make a yes/no question, it will be like that. All you have to do is switch. That's why I say it's easy, because you don't need helping verb here. The verb to be is the verb you're going to use to make a question. Were they working all day yesterday? Yes, no question. If it's about all day yesterday, it will be when were they working? Of course, they were working all day today, yesterday, or you can say all day yesterday evening. Now, the past simple versus the past progressive. Here in your book, they say sometimes you have the two tenses in the same verb, in the same sentence. So when do people use that? Sometimes you have two actions happening at the same time, or one after another, or one you will see now the time clauses that will connect the two tenses. When you have when or while or as soon as, you're showing that the two tenses are happening at the same time or close to each other. Now I have 3 examples for you to grasp, to get the idea. I'm going to to do that with the sentences. When you have, for example, while I was driving, I saw a strange man or a strange sign. You saw that while you were driving. So one action was in progress, which is driving, and then the other one happened. I saw the strange sign. Number two, I was watching the chef while he was cooking. So he was cooking and I was watching. These are two actions that happened at the same time. And number three, as soon as I finished eating, what happened? I left the house. Two actions happen, one after the other. So why do they use the past simple with the? These are the situations where you use these two. And the time clauses, usually when you have the words like when or while, these are the phrases that you use to connect the two tenses. Now, usually you're asked to correct one of the. It would be very unfair for you to correct both, but sometimes they do that. They ask you to correct one of the verbs and the other one will help you. The other one will be like a clue. And you have while or as. As I was driving to my house, or while I was driving to my house, what happened? I see a boy in the street. How do you correct it? And number two, here I saw, and number two, I was sleeping when the telephone rang. Okay, now these are the correct form of the verbs. Now adjectives ending in ed and in ing. This is the vocabulary part. Now sometimes you have these adjectives and you don't know what do they mean. For example, it was boring, or I was surprised. We were tired from the car journey. It was nice, but it was a bit tiring. These are the sentences in your book. What do you mean by tired? I was tired. I'm describing how I feel. But number two, it was a bit tiring. I'm describing what the trip was like. Okay. Now, these are the exercises. At the end, I'm just going to show you the exercise. We have to do it together. If you can pause because I'm going to show you the answer now. Pause, answer, and now check your answers. We're preparing. Rang. This is the past and past continuous. Were you? Question, ing, and called. And number two, also pause. Now the answers: on, many, much, countable, uncountable, and time clauses. Be careful. Here, used to, pause, answer. Okay. And number three, pause. Now answer. Okay. I think this is it. Thank you so much. Here, surprise. Now we're finished. Thank you.